So I come from India, and we come from the southern part of India, and we are basically Syrian Orthodox Christians, and so we have a lot of culture and I would say modernity from the small city that we come from. And interestingly, we have a Dutch connection because I think that's one of the first places where the Dutch came and came to India about 2 or 3 centuries back. Yeah, so I did my schooling there, and then I'm a Navy veteran, so I joined the Navy, and I was primarily involved in a lot of operations, logistics, and towards the last few years, I was heading a project based out of UK, Scotland, which was primarily involved with subsea operations and manufacturing, and that was quite an interesting tenure for me, and I actually got to see a lot of Europe through the project. I also have a background in submarine and ship construction, and I spent about 5 years in St. Petersburg while working on the project. That was also quite a good experience for me. I think I got to spend a lot of time interacting cross-functionally and cross-organizationally, and it gave me a good understanding of the construction business, which I believe is quite good and I think quite strong in Netherlands. We've got a lot of shipping industries and offshore and oil and gas. So I figured it would be a great opportunity for me to use my previous skills and probably come to Netherlands, and probably transfer it onto the commercial industry. One reason for choosing Netherlands, in fact, I would say two reasons, was one, it's fairly known as the gateway to Europe, and it's international culture, cosmopolitan culture. And that's actually, really nice, because here you can actually get away with not knowing Dutch, because almost everybody speaks English, and it's a really multicultural environment. Even, the place we stay, we've got French neighbors, we've got people from Singapore, we've got Dutch neighbors. So that's one of the reasons I chose Netherlands. And the second is I found why I came to do my MBA was when I decided to transition from the Navy. I thought, a business degree would help me kind of sharpen my leadership skills, my skills in, I would say, finance, corporate governance, communication. These are really niche areas which need to be probably sharpened, and you really need to have the right kind of exposure to make an impact. So I thought doing an MBA would be the right step, and it would actually provide me a springboard and help me in my transition to the corporate world. That having said, why did I come to Nyenrode? Well, I think what really caught my attention was, when I started talking to people here. I have a couple of classmates who have been here for like 15, 20 years. And all of them actually told me, I think it wouldn't be wrong to call Nyenrode the Harvard of Netherlands, or probably even Europe. So that was one of the reasons. It has got a good, I think I would say, a strong connection with the industries here. That was one, and everybody seemed to know Nyenrode and had a really good experience in the interaction with Nyenrode. The alumni was really strong. People, I think, not only in Netherlands, in the Benelux region, and even in India. We had quite a few alumni from Nyenrode, so that was another reason. And of course, Nyenrode is known for its leadership, entrepreneurship, and stewardship. That's our motto, and I think the leadership angle really caught me with it, because I really needed to take my leadership to the next level, where you can actually make an impact with the sustainability, the environment, social governance. We have a lot of influence in Nyenrode on these aspects in whichever area you take. We started with HR and graduated to strategy, marketing, finance, strategy finance, corporate finance. everything has got a flavor of sustainability, I would say, environment, and you kind of, always pushed to think with impact. I mean, so whether it's in society or whether it's for the planet, or, in whatever you do. And that I found it, that was one of my expectations. And I think it was great to come here and see that, Nyenrode really exceeded my expectations on those friends. And coming to personal leadership, I think we have a really terrific set of program management and professors who kind of push you to develop those skills, reflect on your weaknesses, your strengths. And I've been associated like for 4 or 5 months currently, but I think the kind of exposure we have got with guest lecturers, they've come from a breadth of industries, entrepreneurs. They've been great. Yeah, I was, in fact, I was planning to go to Scotland, or my other choice was to come to Europe. And when I started looking at Europe, I think Netherlands was a no-blinder for me, because its similarity to the really international atmosphere, the cosmopolitan kind of landscape that it gives. And that most of the companies worth its salt has got an office in the Netherlands across the globe, most of the big shots. Yeah, so why I didn't end up going to Scotland was, I think, 2 reasons, or probably I can pick 3. One was COVID, and they were closed. And during the time, when I decided to move on, that was one. And the second was, I think, Brexit, because they kind of really cut the lifelines from the EEA. And so there was a lot of turmoil, and the shipping industry and the logistics, transportation industry was in really bad shape. So when I spoke to a lot of people and my friends there in Scotland, they said, you're kind of restricting yourself at this moment of time if you're moving to UK. And so considering those aspects, and also, I think if I was a person who was looking into moving to offshore project management, logistics, or operations industry, and I think the European economic area gives you more probably breadth and bandwidth in terms of the companies and the opportunities available. So, I just decided to walk in to Netherlands, and of course pick Nyenrode for the reasons that I gave you. But that's not the end of the door, right? You have the future, and you can always pivot in case I want to go back. Yes, it is a done thing. Like I have at least, I think I could count many people who have followed the path that I've taken. People have gone to US, or people have gone to Canada, people have come to Europe. Yes, and primarily we come with certain skills, and we come with certain experience, depending on where we have served. Like I've been at the operational end, and I've also been lucky enough to have been associated with international projects. Like I mentioned to you, I've been working with a construction project in Russia for about 5 years. I've been based out of a pioneer international project with Scotland, UK, where we worked closely with NATO and their operators, and we actually did the manufacturing, the field trials, and then we got the equipment to India, where we set up the infrastructure, and we did the sea trials again under different conditions, operating conditions. So it really gave me a good understanding of international project management. We were dealing with companies across the globe, from Australia to US, so Singapore. We were dealing with the whole deal. So yes, that experience kind of actually emboldened me to transition. And when you actually come to Europe, or you go to US, or or rather even in India, so every economy or every ecosystem looks for certain specific skills and certain specific niche. And I think those rough edges would really, you would look at smoothing them and, being prepared for the corporate world in that particular economy or that particular ecosystem. So I think if I would ask anybody, yes, an MBA is the way to go, because that kind of really prepares you well for stepping out. Because being in a government domain, yes, I've got an opportunity to work with corporates a lot, maybe 5, 8 years, 9 years in different continents, countries. Yeah, but generally the run-of-the-mill guys wouldn't have seen that kind of exposure. So that's even more, I would say you should have a business degree to kind of help you step out and, be prepared for the business environment. I was most of the time in operations, maritime operations, and a little bit of logistics. And we used to do a lot of course, talent management and human resource management, because that's part of the leadership that we run through when we in the career development and as we pass through each stages. So when I was doing my last project and we really traveled, I would say, and we really interacted with the corporates. I got an opportunity to really talk to the people in the shipping industry, not only in the North Sea area, globally, I would say, not only in India. We were primarily based out of Scotland, North Sea. That's supposed to be the home of, I think, most of the shipping industry in UK. We also spoke to people from US and Singapore. So that kind of opened my eyes to the world. I would say, kind of urged me to kind of step out of the fairly monolithic environment of the military or the government service that offers you. But yes, it was a lot, because you were stepping out of your comfortable job, your the good perks that come with that, the safety of the environment that you are already in and entrenched in, with probably 12, 13 years of leadership experience, you're actually set. So yes, it was a big decision, but I really wanted to challenge myself and really kind of, push myself to new challenges. I didn't want to get stuck in the same, comfort zone. So probably, I'm sure there are more people like me who like to, step out and do something new. And environment sustainability was something that I was looking for, because that's something very close to my heart from the place that I come from in India too. Because like Netherlands, which is almost below sea level, we are coming from a place which is about 3 or 4 centimeters above sea level. So these kind of things resonated with me. And yes, I think primarily, if you ask me, one thing that forced me to step out of the kind of my comfort zone, I would say rather, is my desire to challenge myself and kind of do something more, something different, and see if you can fit the bill. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy, because you're leaving behind your families, you're leaving behind a lot of work, good work that you have done, the people the ecosystem you've developed. Yes, so it's quite a bold step, I would say. Everything that we did in Nyenrode, if I could just take an example, let's say we were talking about strategy. So we were taught by the great Professor Bob Devitt. So let's say, for example, we were having a discussion on, let's say, the maritime industry. It's a huge industry. We're talking of 85% of the global trade is touched by the maritime industry, and that's like 14.6 or 15 trillion, which is probably bigger than even China's global GDP. So it's huge. So we were discussing this, and I was talking to him about this angle, and how the maritime industry is being shaped for the future, and how is it poised to kind of make an impact. So things that I've never heard of. He kind of exposed me to let's say the development of biomass fuels and fuels that are really environment friendly, zero carbon fuels. Then development of electric bulk cargo ships. These are going to be the norm probably in 15 years time. And we have companies like Maersk, which are based out of Copenhagen and which have got a good footprint in the Netherlands. Also, I mean, they are the biggest company. I think maybe a couple of weeks back, they were overtaken by the Mediterranean shipping company, but yet they were moving into a net zero carbon shipping in probably by 2030 to 2040. That's their aim. So it was not just about in class talking theory and, talking about making an impact. I mean, it's just if you pick an industry, we were really talking of, tangible benefits, and we're really talking of steps that have been taken in that direction. I mean, we spoke about the meat industry. I mean, in the Americas, I think that's one of the biggest, carbon producing industry, the meat industry. Today, I'm given to understand we have produced artificial meat with zero carbon footprint in the Netherlands already. And we're talking of probably the advanced production coming out in 3 years. These are the things that we've been exposed to and really makes you think, yes, the Dutch really mean business. I mean, this is where it's all happening. Yeah, so like I said, I come from India, and we are a multicultural society. I mean, we have got, I couldn't count the number of languages. I mean, if I got together in my group, if you're 20 people, we would speak probably 20 languages. So it was as culturally diverse as it could get, yes. So I come from south of India, and I've got a brother and a sister. My brother works in Dubai, and my sister's with my parents in Cochin, Kerala. That's probably the southernmost province in India. So yes, my dad was in the Navy, so it was pretty much a big surprise for him because, like you said, I mean, he was that typical old school guy. Yeah, once you get in, you serve there for 25, 30 years, and then you retire, and then you settle, and then so that was what he expected me to do too. But I think, yeah, maybe it's the new generation. I don't know. So, like I told you again, I mean. Life changes, your experience kind of shapes you as who you are. And a lot of my colleagues too were quite surprised that, when I told them that I want to transition and I want to do something to benefit, society and the planet. And I might even just move out and see what I can do and what I can find. And I was really, the norm is before you leave a company or, whatever job you are, to have another job. And then, you transition safely. So this was like, I was telling a lot of my friends too, it was a big step. So leaving behind the safety of a job. And then my wife was working as a consultant for an American company. So yes, in those terms, I have a son. So yeah, he's still back in India. So we had taken, I would say about 6 to 8 months just to discuss this. It was a huge step. So, and we were moving to a different continent and something which I wasn't doing. So in my previous job, and we were going ahead with not having a job for, 12 months or whatever the duration of the MBA. But yes, those apprehensions were there. But once I came out, and kind of, I think Netherlands is one of the easiest countries to, get across, and the process of the paperwork with IND, the Ministry of Immigration and Naturalization. I think having traveled a lot, I think I would say it is one of the smoothest processes that I went through because there's so much of support and the welcoming nature of the Dutch people. So yes, housing was a challenge, but I think we did manage that too, and finally we settled down before the course. I really like to kind of bring out this point that if I'd moved to the US or Canada or any other country, probably things wouldn't have been so easy because everything is really structured here. From your travel, your papers, opening bank accounts, getting a house and sorting out those kind of things. It's really friendly because primarily I think it's the cosmopolitan nature of the country and per se Amsterdam, I would say. And I didn't feel not at home because I would find almost in fact I think we've got people from 13 or 14 countries in my class of 32. So that means almost every third person or every 2.5 person is from a different culture. And so I think it was smooth. We had a lot of apprehensions before we started moving and when we were planning our move. But once we got here and slowly, things were really smooth, and I'm really happy I came. And that's. I think pretty much the people who look for a Nyenrode experience would be looking at support from the alumni. And that is one thing I've found which is exceptionally strong. The impact that the alumni has in and around, I think, in Netherlands. It would be a disgrace to say only Netherlands. I would say in the Benelux area and beyond is terrific. They are, one of the best alumni that I've seen. I've studied, I've done 2 MSCs. So I've been associated with huge colleges and universities back in India too, and studied in St. Petersburg too. So I can straight away make a comparison there. And I think it's incredible. So that is one thing, you should, every student, when he goes to a university, this is something that you really look for, because that the period of uncertainty, you need the support of your colleagues, the alumni, and the professors. And this has been incredible. It's been an incredible journey. So I think that is one thing I think stands out there. The second thing I would advise the students is, depending on which background you come from, there is a lot of impact on, there's a lot of emphasis on finance, corporate finance, strategic finance, and those kind of things. And it would help to prepare, because here we do a deep dive in those aspects and those subjects. And I feel personally, since I come with a little bit of more experience than the usual candidates, I think it's one of the best aspects of the course, because irrespective of which company you join or which industry you join, everybody wants you to crunch numbers and get the big picture. So that's something which I think if you're weak on, you should look at working on and come here, because we've got really terrific modules and terrific professors for finance. And if you have to make the best out of it, it's better to come prepared. Another, I think, last point that I would make is the sustainability, innovation, and circular economy. They're big things here in Nyenrode. And if you're not being exposed to it, I think just look forward to it. It's terrific, and there's no better place than, I think, Netherlands to have you kind of, I would say, baptized to these subjects. And Nyenrode, I think, does a terrific job in that.